Hi guys, welcome to Antique Sprinklers. Today we're talking about one of my favorite kinds of sprinklers. It's the Buckner cam rotor. And what I have here is a 1330, and it was the second largest cam rotor available when I was selling them. They stopped in those days at the 1360, which was also a 1-inch rotor like this one is, but the 1360 had bigger nozzles and covered a bigger diameter than the 1330 did. The cam rotor was patented by William Buckner, I want to say in 1934, but I've got the patent inside and I'll make sure I include a picture of it. And basically the way the thing works, it has a vein in the inlet that they call the motor, and that gets the water turning in the right direction. And in the center of that vein, there's it's almost like a screw that you can adjust in or out, and that's the core. And that will control the speed of rotation of the sprinkler. You can get it through the top, but you've got to take the whole internal out, so you're better off trying to set it before you install this thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, but there's a screwdriver slot in the middle there, and that's the core for the motor. And then the vanes, the crosshatch on either side of it, that's the motor itself. And so then just above that, in this cavity below where the internal is screwed into the body, there's a free-floating aluminum bronze cam, and that will spin, and it will spin off the cam that's attached to the internal, that's the upper cam, and that's what actually creates the rotation of the sprinkler head. And then there's 4 screws holding this on into the body, and then a little bitty, probably can't even see that. I should take this thing apart, but I think I'll just show you a parts explosion instead. There's a little bitty head in the 1330 here sitting on a spindle with dual opposing nozzles. The inner nozzle has a slot in it, and there's a slot in the lid as well. And that creates a really cool looking rooster tail that you'll see. Now, the 1310 and the 1330, I believe, came standard with rubber covers. They were options for the 1360s, and I sold a heck of a lot more 1360s than 1330s when I was selling irrigation. I would use them on fields where you could afford to have a scallop out of bounds or off the plane surface, rather than, say they had a track or something, you'd put, impact rotors around the outside of it, spraying in half circle and then full circle sprinklers actually on the playing field. And they would last forever, except one year the alloy for the cam got screwed up, and these guys would wear flat in about a month. And let me tell you something, it is no fun replacing all of those cams in all of those sprinklers. The screw in the middle has kind of a little metal peg in the middle of it, and that's supposed to make it vandal resistant. I've never had a problem taking that screw out with a standard screwdriver, so I think they were kind of kidding themselves there. But these are a great sprinkler. The other thing that's really good about them is they had an amazing coefficient of uniformity, so you could stretch the spacing on them a little bit. And they would get that measured by, I think it was the Center for Irrigation Technology at UC Davis. And they were very, very proud of that CU, and we would go try to sell that to groundskeepers and golf course superintendents and people like that. And some would listen, and of course, in the design, it's a little bit of an advantage when you can stretch out the spacing of your sprinklers a little bit. They have a nice low profile. The lid's not very big on these guys, unlike a big impact rotor that covers a similar distance. And I just think these things are cool as anything. The heck of it is, for the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that I sold and the thousands that I saw go into the ground, I only have this one 1330 and a 1360, and that's because I traded a gigantic rocker jet for them. I don't see them come up, and I know even in my area here, as recently as 30 years ago, there were thousands that were still in operation. Mount Vernon, George Washington's house, had cam rotors in the yard that were put in there in the 1990s, and a big pump station in what used to be his ice house, and Buckner control system there that my buddy Rick I worked with oversaw the installation of, did the design of. And so Buckner found itself in a lot of really interesting places. And, Rick tells me the story of there's rocking chairs on the veranda there at Mount Vernon, and part that looks out the back over the Potomac. And early morning, as the sun's coming up, watching the cam rotors rotate, it's almost like a mystical experience there. We are kind of lucky living in this area, the stuff that we get to visit and see. So I'm beginning to ramble a little bit, so I'm going to cut this off. As always, check out my playlist of other sprinkler content creators. There's a bunch of really great people doing a lot of really cool videos for sprinklers that you might not see anywhere else. And if you enjoy the videos I put together, please like them so that YouTube will show them to more folks and other people can enjoy them as well. And go ahead and subscribe if you have a mind to. With that, let's go ahead and watch this guy in action. Thanks.